Okay, here we go. It's Friday. Welcome everyone to the Friday edition. It's February 16th. Here we are trying to grow our neuroplastic bits and pieces that allow us to just be more consistently feel more positive and more to some extent, I guess, more in control of what we do. And the irony is what I'm about to talk about today has very much to do with uh, a sense of being out of control. Um, and yet it fundamentally has to do with we have some control over creating the conditions or the circumstances within which this out of control experience actually happens, and it's called flow. So this is Mihály Csíkszentmihályi, and I will show you his name in a second, which is why I'm stumbling all over it. But he's a Hungarian uh, researcher and psychiatrist, and he is well known for this amazing body of work and research that he's done in the realm of flow. So I'll read this out. It is when we act freely for the sake of the action itself, rather than for ulterior motives. In other words, when we're practicing for intrinsic reasons, that we learn to become more than what we were, so that we grow beyond what we were a moment ago. When we choose a goal and invest ourselves in it to the limits of concentration, whatever we do will be enjoyable. And once we have tasted this joy, we will redouble our efforts to taste it again. This is the way the self grows. So this is one definition of flow. And just to reinforce the insanity of his last name, I challenge any of you to say this out loud. I believe it's basically like, Michael or Mihály Csíkszentmihályi is how I have understood it. And yeah, he's sort of the godfather of this idea of flow. And flow, again, it's this mental state where whatever it is that we're doing, we are so immersed in it and we're so energized by it. There's this vitality that's intrinsic to the involvement in this activity or process. And there's this, I guess you could call it joy, although I think it's more than just joyfulness or happiness. It's something much more existential that happens. And in many ways, I think many of us are looking for this experience when we think of being alive and moment by moment existence. We're looking for some sense of connection with something greater, and in many ways that's something that we can practice and we can engage in. And the way we do that is we intentionally find this perfect ratio between challenge and skill level. So here's what I mean with that. So anything that we do is either really challenging or kind of easy, right? There's a continuum there. And then there's this other piece, which is our ability to meet that challenge with a level of skill. So you can think of surfing, you can think of tennis, you can think of reading or learning a foreign language, whatever it might be. There's always this balance between how challenging is it and how skillful am I at it. And when we become conscious of those two, we begin to realize that when the challenge is too high, if it's too difficult and I don't have the skill, usually our mind responds with a sense of anxiety. Like, uh-oh, I'm in over my head. I don't know how to do this. On the flip side, if my skill level is too high and the challenge is too low, meaning I'm really good at this, I've done it a million times, I'm pretty skilled at it, we end up feeling a little bit bored. So in order to find flow, this magical space where we can have this experience of being lost in the activity or being so immersed in it that it feels really good, we need to consciously set up the conditions where the challenge and the skill are evenly matched. The challenge here is that this is a really personal question, right? So I'm not a I'm not a good surfer, so if you put me on a wave like this, my the challenge would be way too high. My skill is way too low. I would be terrified, and I'd be in the water, and I'd be panicking. This guy's having a great time, right? So, similarly, if I were playing checkers with a 3-year-old, chances are pretty good that my skill level is way outmatched with the challenge that's at hand, and I might feel kind of bored after 15, 20 minutes. So the goal here is for us to become cognizant of when we practice mindfulness or gratitude or patience or whatever it might be that we want to get better at, is are we cognizant of our skill level and is it matched up with our challenge? So that's what I was hoping to explore today is let's do an exploration of flow. So go ahead and close your eyes. Let's start off with just grounding in the present moment, noticing your body sitting in a chair, closing your eyes, breathing, or noticing breath in your body rather. Maybe noticing your feet in contact with the ground. So we call this grounding, and it's literally just becoming aware of the sensation of being in contact with the ground in this moment, right here, right now. It's very simple. It's surprisingly difficult to do. Let's just see if we can ground. And oftentimes when we practice this kind of meditation or this presencing, many of us have this automatic sense that we're doing it for to attain something, to get to a different place than we're in right now. So my invitation right now is in order to find flow, there is this sense that we're doing something just for its own sake. It's not because we're trying to attain something or get somewhere else. We're just right here, right now. There's no agenda other than being with what is right now. And see if you can just lean into that intention. And the mind has this tendency to want to get somewhere or accomplish something. And that's the trap. So right now, the goal or the intention is to just be with what is right now. So sitting, breathing, noticing, and then this is quite literally setting up the conditions within which flow may happen. There's no guarantee, but flow is something that naturally happens when things are aligned. We can't force it, we can't demand it. We can just breathe and just notice. We can accept and surrender. Staying in contact with the simplicity, not overcomplicating it, but just sitting, breathing, noticing. The technical term for behaviors or actions that involve flow is autotelic, meaning that we do something for its own sake. And oftentimes that involves play, is a good example. Things that we do that are just playful, right? We're not doing that because we want to look good or make money, or there's no extrinsic motivator there. It's really just about doing it for its own sake. That's what autotelic means. And that is the perfect setup for experiencing a flow condition. It's just to connect with things for their own sake. And sometimes the striving or the wanting to get from here to there, wanting to cultivate a certain state of mind or place, it's very normal. It's what the mind does. And even just noticing that, just giving it space and saying, oh yeah, there's my mind doing its thing, wanting to accomplish or achieve or perform, even just hanging back and watching that can be its own reward in a sense. And go ahead and take a deep breath in. Exhale all the way. Let's do that again for no other reason other than to just breathe. So take a deep breath in. Exhale all the way. And open your eyes. Come on back to the session. We're out of time. But just hopefully a reminder that truth is flow is there. We can't force it. We can't demand it, but we can get better and better at cultivating the conditions for it. And when it happens, it's pretty magical. I think we've all experienced it, be it music, be it coding, be it being in a deep conversation with someone that you really care about. It's a pretty magical experience. And yeah, it just involves a little bit of attention to setting up some of the conditions in a way that might be more conducive to that happening. So anyway, I wish you lots of flow this weekend. Hope to see you on Monday. Take care, everyone. See you soon.